Hi, my name is Alejandro Perez Perez, and this is the AI Coffee Podcast. Every week, you will have one disruptive aspect of technology and artificial intelligence for the time to drink a cup of coffee. Today, we have a very important meeting with Majiuzu. Majiuzu is a Nigerian AI ethics advocate and founder of Africa Tech for Development Initiative. His work centers on ensuring responsible AI use, promoting inclusion for marginalized groups, and driving AI research for social good. Wow, Majiuzu, welcome to the AI Coffee Podcast. I think we are going to discuss a lot about Africa, about AI, about ethics. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. Fantastic. I go to be in your podcast.
Great, Majiuzu. So let's start talking about your personal, let's say, perspective, your background, because as far as I saw on your LinkedIn profile, you have a lot of different combinations between law, between human rights, between AI. So how was it? Why did you decide to merge into this combination?
Okay. Fundamentally, AI is a broad field, and AI is a field that is not only tech related, it's not only science oriented, it's multidimensional, and hence it is requiring a lot of a multidimensional approach. Therefore, whether you be in the sciences, whether you be in the social sciences, whether you be in the arts area, whether you be in philosophy, whether you be in law, you have a role to play in the field of AI. If we aim to engender an ecosystem of artificial intelligence that is good for the entire world, that is good for social welfare, then we must adopt multi-stakeholder approach. And that prompted my entry into the field of artificial intelligence. The interconnectivity between law, between AI, and between human rights is very sacrosanct in the field of advancement of artificial intelligence. And that's where I came in.
Great. It really shows that you want to go to AI to technology from a humanitarian perspective, and
Exactly.
I want to come back to the organization that you have found, which is Africa Tech for Development Initiative. I don't know if you could talk a bit about what it is.
Okay, thank you. The Africa Tech for Development Initiative, Africa for Dev, is an initiative born out of the need to advance regional, national, and global collaboration in the field of human centered artificial intelligence. This need became very much more obvious where in the world governed by a lot of international violations, human rights violations, governed by a lot of war actors, by state actors, a lot of crises here and there in the world, occasioned by technological innovations. There became the need to govern these technological innovations and ensure that they advance social good instead of cause mayhem, unleash terror, and unleash crisis in the society. And that was why the Africa Tech for Development Initiative came up to see how we can center a human approach to tech. Because we believe at the Africa Tech for Development Initiative that when tech is regulated, when there are guardrails for these technological innovations, they will serve the purpose of humanity. And the purpose of humanity is common to protect humanity, advance the interests of humanity, and lead to peaceful coexistence. And that is the bane of the outcome of why Africa Tech for Development Initiative came about. We came to solve a pressing global problem. We came to solve an international problem that has been in existence. And we believe that if we can advance through collaboration, through research, through advocacy, then AI, which is a very fantastic phenomenon, can be channeled towards good for humanity and not otherwise. And that's what we stand for.
Wow, you have a very valuable purpose, I think, in your organization,
Thank
and I
you.
think it's very true. Actually, I mean, I usually say that. I mean, it's very relevant to humanize technology and to do things for humans because we are the main stakeholders, let's say, as a
Exactly.
global. And I mean, AI nowadays, a lot of people talk about how to become rich using AI, but let's think differently. It's how to create a better world using AI. Yeah, I connect with that a lot. So I also, one thing I have seen on your profile when I was looking for information about you is that you have been working in international platforms such as United Nations, I think, and also All Tech is Human. I don't know if you could talk a bit about your experience about that, and also if they talk a lot or nothing about Africa, for example. What are your thoughts?
Okay, thank you. My experience, particularly in forming a repertoire group for the United Nations, showcased a lot of lacuna, exposed me to a lot of pressing international challenges in the field of technology. And there and there, I made up my mind to contribute my own quota. I made up my mind to be very, very effective in the drive against challenges in the field of technology. At the United Nations submission, we discovered a lot of challenges in terms of internet access, particularly in Africa, particularly in some remote areas of the world. And I find out that a lot of people do not have access to digital education, do not have access to digital training. And in the 21st century, governed by tech, and then the fourth to fifth industrial revolution, where tech holds sway, it is very, very unbecoming for us to have such. There are some communities, there are some remote areas that do not have access to internet. And it became a very, very big challenge for me. And that fueled my ambition to dig deep and see how we can create solutions to these global challenges. As well, at the All Tech is Human, I was a mentor in ethical AI. I discovered a lot of things. There's a whole lot of gap in terms of making the people understand the value of AI, and also understanding the value of ethics in AI. So I came in, and my work at the All Tech Human USA helped a lot of persons, particularly from the global south, to understand the rudiments of ethics and the place of ethics in artificial intelligence and technology. I was able to guide some, mentees. I was able to guide some individuals. I was able to, teach them the rubrics and rudiments of artificial intelligence as well as the place of ethics in AI. So this formed a lot of experience for me, and I discovered lots of persons do not have knowledge of what AI is all about, and they do not know the role of ethics in AI. So this gave me a very strong foundation to be able to explore further and see how the world will get more of this education.
Great point. I have one question because I mean, what I am most curious about talking with you is talking about Africa. How did you see like Africa in terms of AI landscape and ethical regulations? I guess that I mean this is a broad question because a maybe unfair question because Africa is a continent with very different countries and regions, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you could like somehow talk a bit about the landscape globally in, let's say, the whole continent and maybe locally in some regions.
Okay. Thank you for that. Africa, at the moment, is trying its best to emulate the growth of artificial intelligence in the global north. Particularly, they have come up with several policies. We have an African continental AI strategy. That is a continental policy of Africa to have a united African AI policy whereby other countries can adopt and localize in their municipal laws. And that's a very, very good point. That's a very, very good point as far as AI is concerned. It intends to have a unified body of AI regulation so that it can be adopted. The goal is to create a uniform methodology of AI in Africa. So we don't have different countries adopting different AI policies. That's a very strong point. That's a very good one that has been carried out by the African continent. In addition to this, several other African countries have taken steps to, create their AI strategies and policies. Nigeria, for instance, has created its own AI strategy. The AI strategy is bedrocked on AI for social good, AI for innovation, and AI for advancement of governance. This is a very, very, very sound and a commendable policy. South Africa as well, Rwanda as well. There are other countries. Kenya also have taken steps, to making local legislations and advancing artificial intelligence. In all, one of the strong points is that they want to advance innovation of AI in Africa, and that's a welcome development. And that shows that Africa is not sleeping. Africa is trying to catch up with the wave of AI internationally. The global wave in AI is gradually, settling in Africa, and there has been tremendous progress. I would want to also say that Africa is a strong point in terms of the fact that there are lots of startups already, growing from different parts of Africa, and these startups have global relevance and global, effect. And this shows that if AI is well regulated in Africa, more startups in the field of artificial intelligence will grow, and that will boost the AI ecosystem in Africa. So Africa, at the moment, is doing tremendous progress, making tremendous progress in growing her own African AI policy and also creating a reputable African AI framework.
It sounds really interesting, the work you have been working on and the work you mentioned about the African regulation and recommendations for the whole countries. But is it really, let's say, practical or possible to create an African regulation for the whole continent? Or are they maybe small countries, as you mentioned, some that are maybe leading and the rest are maybe just looking maybe at the race? What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, first, I want to say the African Union has its own Vision 2060, Vision 2030, Vision 2060. And this is to ensure that African continent is fit. To create Africans that will be fit for the technology revolution. And to ensure this vision is driven home, there must be a unified policy. The African Union, which is body that supervises the growth and development of the African continent, has come up to say, okay, we need a unified framework in artificial intelligence. This is more so because Africa as a continent must have a direction, and if it must have a direction, it must have a unified, legal policy framework to advance these goals. The African Union has its own goal. The African continent has its goals, and if these goals must be achieved, they must be achieved in unison, and that requires a unified framework. So it's much more feasible and it's possible. All it requires is that these African countries are at the table. These African countries are the key stakeholders when these policies are decided, so that it creates a kind of level playing ground for them to adopt, and also makes it easier for them to localize in their municipal laws. So it's very, very much possible.
Mhm. Do are very optimistic because this is, I think, for me the most difficult part actually to have the interoperability between different even, I mean, even between one country, even between different, I don't know, kinds of organizations, administrations, usually is a mess. Even inside one organization, usually having you have different tables or different customers, internal customers, and sometimes it's tricky. So yeah, but I get your point that it's very necessary, and also I guess that it will create a powerful ecosystem sandbox for the whole continent, which I think is very valuable. Great. So let's talk a bit, if you want, about something I have also read on your LinkedIn profile, and I guess also many of your publications are talking about that. And you mentioned, and this is very related to what you have said, I think now, that well, I will cite you directly. You say that you need to have a strong voice when you talk about Africa, a strong voice for bridging the gap between global north and south in AI development. I guess that there's like a lot of misconceptions, blind spots while integrating AI in Africa. So I don't know if you could talk a bit about, for you, what are the main challenges you are facing now?
Okay, first of all, Africa as a continent is unique, and I think every continent has its own challenges as well. One of the challenges that we have in Africa generally is the issue of digital literacy. the digital literacy in most areas is very, very, very low, and that has occasioned the challenges in adopting, tech innovations in Africa. You go to people, you talk to them about artificial intelligence, they say, "Oh, what's this phenomenon all about?" People get scared because the digital literacy is very low. That's one of the challenges we face. And at the Africa Tech for Development Initiative, we sprung into action by ensuring that we create awareness. We are leading awareness campaign in Africa. We are leading awareness campaign in remote areas, in remote communities, to ensure our people understand what artificial intelligence is all about. For them to understand that artificial intelligence has come to solve our problems. Artificial intelligence has come to embellish our daily lives. Artificial intelligence has come to make life easier for us, to create solutions in difficult areas, and not the other way around. The much held belief, the general belief has been that AI is coming to take our jobs. AI is coming like a Frankenstein monster, just like we have the creation of guns, bullets, and dynamites and all that, which has occasioned a lot of killings and all that in the world, caused wars and crises. AI could lead to such, could even, cause a great challenge to the existence, common existence of mankind. And these are false beliefs held by most persons because the digital literacy is very low. And that's where we have been able to, ensure that awareness and sensitization go to the very nook and cranny of Africa. So that's one of the major challenges we face. Low digital literacy rates is paramount. It's very, very paramount in Africa. The next thing we face as a challenge is the issue of lack of digital infrastructure. There are few digital infrastructures in remote areas, particularly in some African setups, and people do not have access to digital facilities. So how do they get information? How do they have access to the internet? The average African living in the remote areas do not have access to internet. Do not even have access to digital infrastructures, computers, laptops, phones, and all that. So this has become a challenge to introducing innovations such as AI. And the way to go
Mhm.
about it is for there to be funding by government, for there to be synergy between the public and the private.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and let's talk about ethics now, because you mentioned that that you have different problems. Most of them are very pragmatic, let's say material. Even when you talk about computers, technology, even electricity, you said sometimes. What about ethical concerns? Do you think that African society is aware of the ethical challenges that comes from AI?
Okay. All right. I think the issue of ethics, it's not just an African thing. It's a global thing that needs a global campaign to drive home. But particularly in Africa, there has been low level acceptance of the value of ethics in AI, and that's paramount because, like I said earlier, um, the literacy level in Africa is very low, and they do not have knowledge about the pros and cons of issues that could arise in the use of AI systems. So ethics is something that needs to be promoted. In Africa, it's very low. Although the people understand and have the fear that AI could be have a boomerang effect, AI could be a Frankenstein monster, AI could cause a lot of challenges to them and all that. But the nitty-gritty of the ethical challenges are not well known to the people. And that's where the place of awareness campaign comes in. So make sure the people understand the pros and cons of the AI system that are to be adopted in Africa.
Hmm. And of course, this is a global issue, not only an African one, of course. But as you were working in the UN, for example, and also I know that you are really also in, researching about global decisions, global resolutions. How can Africa create partnerships maybe with international companies, international organizations in order to promote ethical AI use?
Sorry, I didn't get that clearly.
Hmm. I mean, how can Africa create partnerships with private or public global organizations or companies to promote the ethical AI use?
Okay, it's very important that partnership, collaboration is advanced in order to achieve an ethical centered AI ecosystem. African communities, African governments, and the African continent can partner with international tech companies, can also partner with African tech companies, can partner with private and public sector to ensure the promotion of ethical AI. Before we talk about partnership and collaboration, we must understand that these AI systems, most of them are built on foreign algorithms from the global north. And if we are to adopt these AI systems in Africa, there must be the place of homogeneity. There must be the place of localizing these AI systems. And for this to be possible, they must understand also the ethical challenges that these things pose to African settings, to African communities, to the African setup. And if they understand this, then African communities, African governments can collaborate and partner with international companies to say, oh, these are the ethical challenges arising from the use of AI. And African society is peculiar. Therefore, these are the problems that need to be solved in the state in the
Hmm.
process of design, the process of development, the process of deployment of these AI systems in Africa. So the earlier this collaboration and partnership is done, the better we can advance ethical AI systems in Africa. Otherwise, these AI systems will be shipped down to Africa or will be adopted in Africa without identifying the possible ethical challenges that could arise in use of such AI systems in Africa. So collaboration is very important to advance ethical AI, not just in Africa, but globally. Thank you.
Hmm. That's true. That's true that collaboration is very necessary, and because these are very large scale problems, and yeah, I agree with you that it's very relevant for the communities to create a bridges between different stakeholders and grow all together. But let's talk a bit about the topic you mentioned at the beginning, and I think it's very relevant, and it is education. um, in Spain, where I live, education is at all not focused on AI. No one, I think, uses or talks about AI. I mean, generally, of course, maybe there are some, but in general, in let's say school education for children, they do not use AI or they do not teach AI now. So I guess that this is also common almost everywhere. So how do you think that uh, people could get educated that in schools they are not?
Okay, very well. AI is very, very important, and more so in the area of education, AI can advance, a lot of progress, a lot of ease in learning. The classroom gradually will be moving from normal brick and walls to an AI advanced education system. We'll soon be seeing the end of the four brick and walls era of education where people have to gather in classrooms to learn and all that, where people have to be in the four walls of universities to learn, and people have to be in the four walls and environments to learn. The world is advancing beyond that. We are getting to a stage where AI can make learning much easier, more faster, and also create more synergy between learners in different environments. So AI can transform the education sector, and AI can make education very seamless. AI can lead to tailored education system where the student utilizes an AI system according to his own area of strength and understanding. Okay, so AI is gradually revolutionizing the education system and also creating education, making education more easier, more accessible too. So people from different backgrounds can have access to education. People from different regions can have access to education. People from different geographical location can also have access to education materials, learn at their own pace. Personalized learning has increased. Personalized learning has been enhanced through the introduction of AI system. People learn according to their own pace. People learn according to their own strength. People learn according to their own, understanding and all. So the level of AI in education is a plus. It's a plus to the society because education will keep getting better. Education will keep getting easier. Education will keep getting more flexible and less stringent, as in seen in the formal times. Education will get more straightforward to understand. People learn according to their own pace. So personalized learning is a plus in the education field, and that's thanks to the advancement of artificial intelligence systems.
Hmm. Yes, I agree that personalized learning would be really relevant. But also, the bad part is that we all need to learn about AI, how to use it, or how not to use it, let's say. Because AI is very powerful and it could be dangerous. So, this is also a point I want to highlight. But uh, one thing, Majiuzu, that I think is also relevant in your case is I don't know if you could provide. An advice, for example, to another person, let's say a young person working in Africa in AI, or a person that wants to learn about AI in an African country. Um, do you have an advice to this potential person?
Yes. The thing is, AI is a very, very broad field. And one must understand that as broad as AI is, you can fit in different areas of this field. You need not be a person that knows everything about AI. You've got to start. You've got to be very, very intentional about what you want in AI, what aspect of AI, the technical aspect, the advocacy aspect, the research aspect, what area of AI do you think you can fit in? And don't just rush into the field of AI. Look at what you've got, look at your skills, and look at your areas of interest. These are things that will motivate you to excel in the field of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is very, very broad. In Africa, particularly, there is need for persons to come into the field of advocacy, into the research in technical areas of AI. So you must understand first of all who you are, what are your skill sets, what are your areas of strength, and commit these things into advancing your interest in the field of artificial intelligence. So first of all, you must know who you are. Once you know who you are, you know what you've got, you know what you've got to offer, and what you want to do and achieve in the field of AI, it becomes very easy. So going into a journey such as AI, you must first of all be equipped with knowledge. And the field of AI is ever dynamic. Laws are made every year, every day, every month, every week. So you must keep up. You must keep to pace with these regulations. You must understand the nitty-gritties of the laws. You must understand what they say, and you must understand the fact that Africa is peculiar. So once you are in the field of AI, you must also narrow the use of AI to Africa. How can AI solve African problems? How can AI be utilized in the African setting? How can AI be used to advance, sustainable development in Africa? So these are the things one who is in Africa that needs to advance into the field of AI should know. You must understand the peculiarity of the African continent and see how you can align the usage of AI to it. And that's all. With this, you can excel in the field of artificial intelligence. Confidence is also very, very important. You must have self-belief. You must believe in yourself, what you've got to offer. And that takes it all.
Hmm. Great advices, and I think not even for an African person. I think everyone could learn from these advices.
Thank you.
But how do you see the future of Africa regarding AI? Let's say, for example, how do you see it in 5 years?
Okay. In 5 years, I see Africa a much more better continent. I see AI advancing in Africa. Already, I said earlier in my statement that Africa is growing in the field of artificial intelligence. And in 5 years, I see Africa having more robotics startups. I see Africa having more AI startups. I see more funding for these startups in Africa. I see more foreign interest in the African AI innovations and startups. And I see AI advancing in different areas of governance in Africa. AI to democracy, AI to governance, AI to politics, AI in health, AI in education, AI in the agri sector, AI in law, and AI in diverse areas. I see Africa accepting AI. I see Africa, taking AI as its own thing and applying it in this aforementioned sectors. I see the health sector also growing rapidly because of the advancement of AI in health. I see the education sector growing rapidly because of the advancement of AI in education. I see more African people embracing AI, and I see more funding from both private and public sectors, in advancing AI innovation. This is my focus and my predictions on AI in 5 years in Africa.
Hmm. You're very optimistic, but I hope that this is going to be the like real, like, because of course this is what we all want. We all want that everything progress fine, and AI could be beneficial for all, let's say, but sometimes it's not maybe like possible because of the AI limitations, or even as you mentioned, there is like a lot of challenges to be faced. But everywhere, I mean, not only in Africa, I think everywhere we have all the humanity, a lot of global challenges with AI. For example, one that comes to me is uh, how much energy is it needed to implement all AI tools that we want all to be created. So a lot, maybe much more than we all have now. So this is a challenge, for example, and sustainability also, and there is like a lot of challenges. But well, let's I'm also very positive and optimistic, and our audience from this podcast would know as well. And let's keep it. And of course, it's better to have this positive dream, let's say, because I think this will push us to this direction, which I think is very
Yeah.
good. Okay, I don't know if you have anything you want to say at the end, anything that maybe it's important for you that we haven't been talking.
Okay. First of all, I must say it is very important that the world understands the fact that inclusion is a major challenge. Every technological innovation widens the inclusion gap. And how do we bridge the already widened inclusion gap? AI is no exception. What is the place of the global south in these AI conversations? And that is why organizations need to spring up, to support the cause of inclusive technology, inclusive governance, and also to, encourage more inclusion value for marginalized communities. I must say, much has not been done for to bridge this inclusion gap. AI has the ability to bridge this inclusion gap, no doubt, but at the same time, it can widen this inclusion gap. There must be global collaboration. There must be need for individuals, organizations, civil society bodies to come together and say, yes, we understand that AI is a plus, it's a plausible phenomenon for the world. At the same time, we must also understand the ripple effect of this plausible phenomenon. It could widen the already, it could increase the already widened inclusion gap. So we must understand that we bridge this. It has to be a collaborative effort. How do we bridge this? We must understand that we must understand that there is need for communities to be carried alongside in this AI race. This is an AI race. And if communities are not carried along, we risk leaving people behind. We risk leaving lots of communities behind. And that is not the goal of artificial intelligence. We must create social equality. We must create an inclusive environment for all to be part of this AI innovation. We must give room for people to participate. Nevertheless, we must understand the fact that there are people that have deficiencies, that have, they are disabled, people with disabilities, those from the marginalized communities, those from remote communities in the global south. Like I said earlier, the challenges has been in Africa, we don't have access to, we don't have access to digital infrastructures, and the digital literacy rate is very, very low. People do not have advancement in technology knowledge. So how do we solve these challenges? It requires a global effort. It requires advocacy going to the nook and cranny of these people to teach them about what AI is all about, so that everyone will be carried along. I must tell you, there was a time we went for outreach, AI literacy outreach. And we discovered that there are some talented persons in these remote communities. They do not have any knowledge of AI, but they have the natural skill and talent. They can build local solutions for local communities. So we began to encourage them. We began to bring them close, began to tutor them, give them the right tools and facilities needed. And some of them are doing excellently well. So we must continue to encourage this on a larger scale to ensure that AI solves our collective problem and AI does not leave anyone behind. So the inclusion is very, very key in the future of AI. There is no AI without everyone, and there is no everyone without AI. That's my solution.
That's a good statement for the end of this podcast that we are ending. So, just a couple of questions. Thank you very much for all the statements. I think you have been
Thank you.
talking for, you have said a lot of very powerful insights, I think, for the audience. But I have a couple of questions that I usually ask at the end. The first one is, how can the audience contact you if they want you, if they want to contact you? And then the other one is, which is your favorite type of coffee? Because this is the AI Coffee podcast. Coffee is very relevant for us. So let us know your favorite type.
Okay, I can be contacted via email m majiuzu at gmail.com. I'll just spell that MMAJIUZU at gmail.com. Or I can be found on LinkedIn, Majiuzu Daniel Moses. These are my profile contacts. You can reach me anytime for questions, for discussions. As far as AI, technology, human rights, law is concerned, I can be reached anytime. And my favorite type of coffee is cappuccino. I love it so much. It tastes really, very well. And it's been my favorite for a very, very long time. It's very, very, very
Mhm.
interesting.
It's great that you said that you like coffee. Usually, people, almost no one said that they don't like coffee because I think this is not the moment, right, to say so. Okay, so Mayusu, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure for me having you here. I hope you had a great time as well,
Thank
and,
you.
and
I
yeah,
do.
and let's stay in touch for the future, and yeah, and you have a lot of good initiatives also for the audience to go through your LinkedIn and what's for them, and I invite the audience to go there to for more information because I think you are doing really a lot of good work and you are posting a lot of things and trying to talk about AI in Africa, which is not like the majority of people is doing nowadays. So congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure being on your podcast. Thank you so much.
And also thank you to you that are watching until the end or listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, follow me, follow the podcast, follow him as you liked it maybe a lot what he has been talking about Africa, and see you next time. Bye bye.